You and I, we've started before. We've had nights where we swore this was it. This was the time we'd finally stay consistent, finally build the life we keep seeing in our heads. We felt the fire. We felt the certainty. And then, somewhere between the vision and the victory, our strength dissolved. Days got heavy. Results were slow. Motivation faded. And we stopped. Not because we were weak in some permanent way, but because nobody ever told us the truth. The truth is this: our lives are not built in the hours when we feel inspired. They're built in the hours when we don't. And we show up anyway. We keep lying to ourselves about what we're missing. We say we need motivation, but what we really lack is a habit of persistence. We say we need excitement, but what we need is endurance. The kind that makes us move even when nothing feels special, nothing feels new, and no one is clapping. Greatness is not some explosive moment of glory. Greatness is the quiet repetition of the right effort, done so many times that it becomes part of who we are. The universe has already revealed the law. Rivers carve canyons not because they are strong, but because they never stop moving. The sun does not need inspiration to rise. The seasons do not negotiate with their feelings. They move by law, by rhythm, by an unbroken pattern written into existence itself. So the question is simple and brutal. Will we be the only creatures in this universe who live by accident? Or will we finally step into the same law that shapes mountains and stars, the law of consistency? Understand this about our will. Weak will is not born in a day. It's grown. It grows every time we say, "Not today," and believe that lie. It grows every time we bow to comfort and pretend we're resting. We think nothing happened, but something did. Every time we surrender to ease, we weld another chain around our own potential. Each small escape, each quiet excuse, becomes another layer of softness wrapped around our spirit. Eventually, that softness suffocates us. We look up one day and realize we've become servants to our own hesitation. But the will works like a muscle. It doesn't respect wishes. It respects resistance. Every time we force ourselves to move when our body screams, "Stop," our will grows. Every time we act instead of overthinking, our will hardens. Every time we push through the fog of laziness, we are forging armor around our soul. We either build our will, or we bury it. There is no neutral. Discipline is not cruelty. Discipline is not some twisted self-hate. Discipline is allegiance to a higher purpose. It is us saying, "My comfort is not my God. My feelings do not rule my fate. My habits will either build my kingdom or burn it to the ground." The undisciplined version of us is a ship without a compass. We might have talent. We might have opportunity. We might even have people cheering us on. But without discipline, we drift until we crash against the rocks we swore we'd avoid. The disciplined version of us might have less talent, less advantage, less applause, but we reach our harbor because we obey a direction, not an emotion. Discipline begins with small things. If we cannot control our tongue, we cannot control our future. If we cannot control our time, we cannot control our money. If we cannot control our impulses, we cannot control our destiny. Every little act of self-control is a thread in the armor of our character. Each time we resist the impulse to delay, to complain, to numb out, we become heavier, sharper, more dangerous. And yes, it feels unnatural at first. It's supposed to. We're killing the weaker version of ourselves. Death is not supposed to feel comfortable. Repetition is the mother of mastery. Whatever we repeat becomes part of us. Whether it's strength or weakness. We don't become lazy in one moment. We become lazy through rehearsed inaction. We don't become focused by accident. We become focused by repeated attention. We don't become disciplined overnight. We become disciplined by forcing ourselves through the same small, unglamorous tasks until they are no longer a fight. They're just what we do. The waves hit the shore again and again. The heart beats from birth until death. Nature never gets bored with repetition. It understands something we keep refusing to accept. There is no such thing as standing still. Every repetition either reinforces our weakness or our strength. Every night we scroll instead of studying, we rehearse failure. Every morning we rise when the alarm hits, we rehearse victory. The law doesn't care what we choose. It only multiplies what we rehearse. Procrastination isn't harmless. Procrastination is the thief of destiny because it steals in pieces. It never shows up screaming. It shows up as later. Later is where dreams go to rot. Every time we say tomorrow, we trade a piece of our future for a moment of comfort. We treat our potential like it's disposable. We act like time is a refillable resource. It isn't. The builder doesn't wait for perfect weather. The warrior doesn't wait for perfect conditions. The world doesn't pause for us to be ready. We think fear is the problem. It's not. Fear is weak compared to movement. The second we act, truly act, fear loses oxygen. We either form the habit of immediate action, or we form the habit of slowly suffocating under our own hesitation. We overestimate the power of big moments and underestimate the quiet, relentless power of small steps. We fantasize about quantum leaps, massive breakthroughs, overnight transformation. But this is not how reality bends. The continent is crossed one step at a time. The book is written one page at a time. The fortune is built one decision at a time. The strongest mind is forged one choice at a time. The impatient version of us despises small beginnings. We want to be great without being consistent. We want the reward without the repetition. We want the summit without the climb. But the disciplined part of us, the part that survives, knows the truth. The small, faithful act we perform today is not insignificant. It is divine. It is a brick in the fortress we are building. It is a vote cast for the person we are becoming. We don't need to feel like an entirely new person. We need to take one more right step, then another, then another. That is how monsters of discipline are born, quietly, one step at a time. We are also running out of places to hide from this truth. Habit is the silent sculptor of our destiny. It doesn't care how we feel about it. It doesn't care what we say we want. It watches what we do, over and over, and engraves it into stone. Do we repeatedly choose distraction? The law will make us a slave to distraction. Do we repeatedly choose courage? The law will make courage our second nature. Do we repeatedly choose excuses? The law will make quitting our default response to life. Habit is not our enemy or our friend. It becomes whatever we train it to be. We can't escape the law of habit, but we can bend it to our will. We decide the pattern. We force ourselves through the repetitions while it still feels unnatural. We protect the new pattern until it's stronger than the old one. And then something terrifying and beautiful happens. The thing that used to feel impossible begins to feel normal. The discipline that felt like war becomes the way we breathe. That's when we stop fighting ourselves and start fighting the world. Neglect is how most lives are destroyed, not failure. Failure at least requires that we tried. Neglect doesn't even grant us that dignity. Neglect is leaving the important thing undone and pretending it doesn't matter. It's the unread page, the unsent message, the unkept promise. Too small to feel dangerous, until it isn't. Nothing in this universe is allowed to sit untouched and stay the same. What we don't train, decays. What we don't strengthen, weakens. What we don't guard, gets taken. Our body, if neglected, becomes our prison. Our mind, if neglected, becomes our enemy. Our spirit, if neglected, becomes a hollow echo of what it could have been. Neglect and regret are twins. We ignore today. We cry tomorrow. We delay today. We carry the weight later. The worst part? Neglect kills our self-respect. We stop believing our own promises. We stop trusting our own word. And when we no longer believe ourselves, no external encouragement can save us. The only antidote to neglect is ruthless attention. Doing what must be done now, even when it's small, even when it's boring, even when no one sees. Endurance is the crown only the relentless wear. Anyone can start with enthusiasm. Anyone can be inspired for a week. But endurance belongs to the ones who keep going when the excitement dies, when the noise fades, when the world stops caring. Endurance is not blind stubbornness. It is strength guided by purpose. It's knowing that storms are temporary, but the law of steady progress is eternal. It's understanding that most people fail, not because success was impossible, but because they quit 3 steps before the breakthrough. Endurance is what transforms pain into wisdom and struggle into strength. Every time we refuse to quit, we become more dangerous. Every time we walk one more step when our mind screams enough, we unlock a deeper layer of power we didn't know we had. Endurance guards every other virtue. Discipline is worthless if it dies at the first sign of resistance. Faith is useless if it disappears in the dark. Purpose is empty if we abandon it when it becomes inconvenient. Endurance is the spine. Without it, everything else collapses. Victory is not an event. It is a habit. Defeat starts in thought before it shows up in reality. We lose long before anyone sees it in the way we talk to ourselves, in the excuses we nurse, in the doubt we feed. But the same is true for victory. Every time we conquer laziness for one more hour, we teach our mind to expect victory. Every time we finish what we started, we train our nervous system to associate effort with completion, not collapse. Every time we push through fear, we create the expectation that we will not break. We don't need the world to believe in us. We need to become the kind of people who believe in our own ability to endure, to act, to finish. Victory becomes a habit when self-conquest becomes our daily ritual. And under all of it, there is one law. The law that every chapter of our growth keeps whispering. Consistency, not random intensity, not occasional brilliance. Consistency, intelligent, ruthless, daily persistence. Consistency is purpose made permanent. Faith turned into a schedule. Conviction turned into a pattern. The universe moves by consistency. The tides come and go. The sun rises and sets. The heart beats and beats and beats. Yet we think we can build greatness by showing up when we feel like it. We can't. Inconsistency is the root of our failure. Work one day, vanish the next. Decide today, doubt tomorrow. Talk big, act small. We scatter our energy and then wonder why nothing grows. But when we become consistent, even imperfectly, even slowly, everything changes. Each small act we repeat adds weight to our will. Each day we align our actions with our purpose. We sink deeper roots into our destiny. What we begin, we finish. What we promise, we deliver. And because we become constant in small things, life starts trusting us with bigger ones. So here is the dark truth we can no longer run from. Our future is not hiding in some secret technique, some perfect moment, some mystical alignment of fate. Our future is hiding in our routine, in whether we do the work when we're tired, in whether we move when our emotions say stay, in whether we force ourselves to take the next small step when no one is watching and no one will ever applaud. We will not drift our way into greatness. We will not stumble accidentally into mastery. We will not wake up one day and find ourselves disciplined without having bled for it. We either decide to obey the law of consistency, or we stay slaves to our moods, our distractions, and our neglect. Decide, not tomorrow. Now decide that effort will follow effort, the way morning follows night. Decide that we will act before we feel ready. Decide that we will build habits that drag us forward, even when our motivation is dead. Build the rhythm. Guard the rhythm. Obey the rhythm. Because once consistency becomes our nature, once endurance becomes our reflex, once discipline becomes our default, the world will have nothing left it can use to stop us. Step 1. Declare war on the old you. There comes a moment in every person's life when they stand alone in a room with their own reflection. Not the one in the mirror, but the one they carry inside. The reflection made of broken promises, unfinished plans, and excuses, disguised as good reasons. For most, this moment passes unnoticed. But the ones who change, the ones who rise, feel something different. A cold clarity, a burning awareness that the life they're living is far smaller than the life they were built for. This is the moment where step 1 begins, not with inspiration, not with motivation, but with confrontation. Imagine sitting at the edge of your bed one quiet night. The world is still. Your phone is silent. There are no distractions left to hide behind. And in that dim silence, a truth begins pushing up from underneath everything you've avoided. If you don't declare war on the old you will destroy everything you could become. The realization hits harder than any insult another person could throw at you, because now you see it clearly. You've been negotiating with your weaknesses. You've been reasoning with your impulses. You've treated inconsistency like a bad habit, not like an enemy. But enemies don't go away because you try harder. Enemies are defeated through decisions. Hard, final, irreversible decisions. This is the moment you draw a line in the sand. You take out a piece of paper, not your phone, not a random thought in your mind, and you write a declaration, something raw and uncompromising. A truth meant to bury the softer version of you once and for all. I will no longer live by mood. I will no longer negotiate with excuses. My life will be governed by discipline, not desire. Purpose, not comfort. When the ink lands, something shifts. Not magically, not instantly, but deeply. You feel the weight of the contract because you know you've broken so many promises to yourself before. And this time you're not promising anything. You're declaring a war. Then comes the next step of this inner uprising. You choose non-negotiables, not dreams, not wishes, not vague ambitions disguised as goals. Non-negotiables are behaviors that define who you become from this day forward. Small enough to perform daily, heavy enough to bend your destiny over time. Maybe it's 20 minutes of training. Maybe it's 30 minutes of focused work. Maybe it's 15 minutes of reading or journaling. Maybe it's all three. Whatever they are, they become ritual, daily law. The first stones of the fortress you're building. And then, this is the part most avoid. You confront your future if you choose to remain who you've been. You sit in the quiet and force yourself to envision the life that inconsistency will create. A body you don't respect. A mind that betrays you. dreams that rot into regret. A version of you older, slower, bitter, and painfully aware of what you could have been. You don't look away. You don't soften the image. You let the truth burn. Because pain can paralyze, but the right pain can resurrect. When you finally stand, you stand as someone different. Not transformed yet, but awakened. Not disciplined yet, but armed. Not powerful yet, but committed. This is the beginning of war. Not against the world, not against circumstances, but against the version of you that has stolen years through hesitation, distraction, and delay. From this moment forward, you stop asking for a new life. You begin earning one. Step one is the decision that everything changes, and nothing in your life will shift until you shift. Internally, violently, permanently. This is the rebirth. This is the line in the sand. This is the first crack in the old identity, and the first spark of the warrior you were meant to become. Step 2. Build a ruthless routine. After the declaration, after the war inside you has been named, comes the part most people never reach. The construction of a life that doesn't depend on inspiration. Motivation fades. Emotion shifts. Energy rises and falls like the tide. But routine is the fortress that stands when everything else collapses. Step 2 begins not with excitement, but with a cold, strategic understanding. If your actions are not anchored in structure, they will drift into chaos. This realization doesn't come with fireworks. It arrives quietly, like a whisper from the deeper part of you. The part that understands what's required for greatness. For the first time, you see how your days have been stolen. Not by big failures, but by meaningless fragments. Minutes lost to distraction, hours swallowed by indecision, days wasted waiting for the right moment. So you begin the process of reclaiming your time, not as a suggestion, but as a law. You choose a sacred hour. One slice of the day that belongs entirely to your higher self. It might be dawn, before the world wakes, or late at night when everything finally falls silent. But once chosen, it becomes immovable. This hour is where you make your transformation real. It is where your non-negotiables live. It is where your future is built in quiet, disciplined repetition. You don't wait to feel ready. You don't bargain with fatigue. You don't negotiate with laziness. You obey the hour the way the planet obeys gravity. Then you design the sequence, a ritualized order of operations that eliminates thought and emotion from the process. Wake up. No phone, no chaos, no chatter from the outside world. Water, breathing, reading, work, movement, not chosen randomly, chosen deliberately. Because ritual builds momentum, and momentum builds identity. Every action flows into the next, like a chain of inevitabilities that drag you forward even on days when you would rather vanish into distraction. This is where something incredible and frightening begins to happen. You realize how much of your old life was governed by impulse. You woke up and reacted. You felt something and obeyed. You were pushed around by your own chemistry, enslaved by the softness of mood. But now, you are building a structure that stands above emotion. You create environmental triggers, the architecture of discipline. Shoes by the door, so movement is expected, not debated. The book on the pillow, so reading happens before sleep can steal your time. Workspace prepared the night before, so you're not starting your day by cleaning your excuses. The world begins to bend around your routine, not the other way around. As the days pass, something inside you shifts. Not dramatically, but undeniably. You begin to trust yourself a little more. You begin to feel the early pulse of control. You begin to see that routine is not a prison. Routine is liberation, because in a life without structure, everything feels urgent and nothing gets done. But in a life with structure, the important becomes non-negotiable, and the unimportant dies by starvation. And the most powerful realization of all emerges. The routine is not here to serve your feelings. It exists, so you stop being ruled by them. A warrior is not made by passion. A warrior is made by rhythm, by schedule, by daily obedience to a standard that does not bend. You begin to understand that every legend who ever lived didn't rely on motivation. They relied on routine. Not because they were superhuman, but because they learned that the body and mind, when trained consistently, become weapons sharper than talent, luck, or emotion. This is the moment you cross from dreaming into becoming. Your routine becomes your spine. Your structure becomes your armor. Your process becomes the silent engine that moves you through days when the world feels heavy and your mind feels weak. And eventually, without applause, without fanfare, without anyone noticing, you reach a new level of personal power, where your routine doesn't wait for you to be strong. It makes you strong. Where your day doesn't bend around your mood. Your mood bends around your discipline. Where your identity is no longer built from intention, but from execution. This is step 2. The transformation from a person hoping for change into a person who cannot help but change, because their structure forces them to rise. You are no longer living by chance. You are living by design. And this design, once built, becomes unstoppable. Step 3. Train the will through daily resistance. There comes a point where structure alone is not enough. A routine will guide you, yes, but there is a deeper battlefield, a quieter war that happens beneath even the best planned schedule. It's the moment when you wake up exhausted. The moment when your mind whispers, skip it today. The moment when comfort opens its arms and says, you've earned a break. This is where step 3 begins. The training of your will, not through inspiration, not through emotion, but through deliberate daily encounters with resistance. This step is not glamorous. It is not cinematic. It is not something you post online for admiration. It's personal, raw, grimy, silent. It's the part of transformation that breaks most people because they expect progress to feel good. But here, in this stage, progress feels like friction. You discover very quickly that the real enemy is not fatigue, not circumstance, not lack of time. The real enemy is the part of you that negotiates with weakness. So you begin your training in the simplest, most ruthless way. The rule of one more minute when you want to stop. One more push when your muscles shake. One more page when your mind wanders. One more step when everything inside you wants to turn around. It's not the size of the action that matters. It's the psychological rebellion, the declaration that resistance is not a signal to quit. It's a signal to advance. Every time you honor one more, something ancient awakens inside you. The instinct of a fighter, the refusal to break, the quiet voice that says, if I can win this moment, I can win anything. Then you choose a daily discomfort. Not something dangerous, not something heroic. Something simple, inconvenient, and purposeful. Cold water hitting your skin. Training when you don't feel ready. Taking the hard task first instead of last. Starting before the motivation arrives. Sitting with silence instead of drowning it with noise. You learn something profound. Comfort weakens you faster than pain ever will. Every act of discomfort becomes a form of spiritual weightlifting. Resistance meets your will, and your will grows thicker, heavier, harder to bend. And slowly, your identity shifts. You're no longer the person who collapses when things get uncomfortable. You're the person who expects discomfort and walks into it willingly. But there's an even sharper truth hidden in this phase. Thinking will betray you. Action won't. You learn that your mind is a master manipulator, capable of talking you out of every dream you have. It whispers, "Later. Not today. Tomorrow is better. You're tired. You deserve a break." But you hit a point where you stop debating with these thoughts altogether. When hesitation appears, you move. When doubt rises, you move. When fear tightens its grip, you move. Action becomes your cure. Not because it feels good, often it doesn't, but because it prevents your mind from building the mental prison you've lived in for years. Then, as night approaches, comes the final part of step 3, the daily win. You sit for a moment before sleep, and you ask yourself, not with judgment, but with clarity, where did I beat weakness today? And every day you can point to a moment, even a small one. You begin crafting a new identity. Not, I'm trying to be disciplined, but I am someone who pushes through resistance. This is the turning point, the shift from effort to identity, the rebirth of a will that refuses to bend under pressure. And day by day, something terrifying happens. Tasks that used to feel impossible begin to feel normal. Resistance that once crushed you becomes familiar. Obstacles that once broke you now strengthen you, because the will works like a muscle. The more it meets resistance, the more it dominates it. And when the will becomes strong enough, you experience something the weaker version of you never knew existed. The freedom that comes from self-command. You are no longer dragged by impulse, no longer manipulated by mood, no longer enslaved by the soft, decaying comfort that once ruled your life. Your will, trained through small daily battles, becomes your shield, your weapon, your identity. This is step 3. The moment discipline becomes more than a routine, it becomes your nature. And once your will is trained to rise when everything inside you wants to fall, you become the kind of person life can't break. Step 4. Guard against neglect and distraction. There's a truth few people will ever accept. Most lives don't collapse because of catastrophe. Most destinies don't vanish because of one catastrophic mistake. Most dreams aren't killed by failure. They die from neglect. They die in the small, quiet hours where no one is watching. They die because powerful goals are abandoned for trivial distractions. If step 3 is about confronting resistance, step 4 is about detecting the enemy that doesn't announce itself. The enemy that slips through the cracks of your day disguised as just a moment. This step begins with a realization sharp enough to cut. Neglect is not passive. Neglect is destruction in slow motion. It is the student who plans to study later, the athlete who tells himself he'll train tomorrow, the builder who leaves the tools untouched, believing the project will wait for him, the person who keeps making quiet promises to start again on Monday. The world does not punish these choices loudly. It punishes them silently. And the punishment is regret. So you begin step 4 by doing something almost nobody does. You start paying attention, relentlessly. Each night, you sit alone for a moment, away from noise, away from screens, away from the comforting lies your mind tells you. You close your eyes and ask one ruthless question. What did I neglect today? Not in a dramatic, guilt-ridden way, but with the cold, forensic honesty of someone diagnosing a sickness before it spreads. You begin to see patterns, the unmade decision, the task you move to tomorrow for no real reason, the message you avoided, the small duty that would have taken 5 minutes, but somehow stole an entire day. The moment your attention drifted toward distraction instead of purpose. At first, this process stings. It feels like pulling back a curtain and realizing the monster in the room is you. But in time, something powerful emerges from this ritual. Clarity. You're no longer confused about why progress stalled or why your results weren't matching your potential. You see it, plainly. You see exactly where you abandoned yourself. And because you see it, you can correct it. That is the heart of step 4. Correction before collapse. Awareness before decay. The next layer of transformation comes when you confront distraction, the thief that operates in broad daylight while pretending to be harmless. You start noticing how quickly distraction fractures your mind, the notification that pulls you out of your work, the quick glance at your phone that turns into a 20-minute drift, the idle scrolling that murders your momentum, the mental wandering that scatters your focus across 1,000 pointless threads. And then you understand a truth the world hides well. Distraction isn't stealing your time. It's stealing the person you could have become. So you weaponize your environment. You designate no distraction blocks, periods of your day where the outside world cannot reach you. No notifications, no social feeds, no fractured attention. During these blocks, you work fully, deeply, undivided. You feel something unusual happening in your mind. Focus strengthens. Noise fades. Your thoughts sharpen like a blade honed on stone. You learn the power of single task mode, the rare ability to do one thing at a time with total presence. And you begin to understand why most people never rise. Their minds are not fragmented by circumstance. Their minds are fragmented by choice, but not yours. Not anymore. Because step 4 ends with a ritual that transforms your entire trajectory. The weekly audit. Once a week you sit down, not with shame, not with excuses, but with truth, and ask, did I honor my non-negotiables at least 5 days this week? Where did distraction defeat me? Where did I move with intention? Where did I slip into neglect? What will I correct this coming week without negotiation? This is where your life changes. Not through perfect weeks, but through course correction. Not through flawless discipline, but through relentless honesty. Not through heroic effort, but through small adjustments done consistently. You notice something profound. Neglect no longer sneaks up on you. You see it forming. You cut it off early. You don't let it metastasize and poison your momentum. Distraction no longer rules you. You rule it. Not by fighting emotion, but by designing an environment that rewards focus and punishes chaos. And quietly, inside this daily and weekly battle, something shifts. You become someone who protects their future with vigilance. Someone who guards their ambition like a treasure. Someone who no longer wastes days. Because you finally understand that days become years. Step 4 completes the transformation from a life lived on accident to a life lived on purpose. You are no longer simply building discipline. You are protecting it. You are defending your progress from the predators that hunt most people into mediocrity. This is step 4, the birth of a guardian, the rise of a watchful mind, the moment you become dangerous, not just because you can take action, but because you refuse to lose what you built. Here, in the shadows of distraction and neglect, you choose vigilance. You choose clarity. You choose yourself. And in doing so, you choose victory. And now, after all of this, you stand at the threshold of two lives. The one you've lived until now, marked by hesitation, distraction, shattered routines, and a will that bent every time pressure pressed against it. And the one you could live from this moment forward, marked by discipline, by structure, by daily resistance, by a will that no longer bows to emotion but commands it. You've seen the truth clearly. Your life collapses when you fail to declare war on the old you. Your days vanish when you lack a ruthless routine. Your strength decays when you stop training your will. Your destiny rots when you let neglect and distraction slip through the cracks. This isn't theory. This isn't philosophy. This is the architecture of every powerful, relentless, unstoppable human who has ever built something worth remembering. You now know the formula: a decision, a structure, a will trained against resistance, a guard raised against decay. But knowing is nothing. Knowledge has never saved a single wasted life. The question is simple and brutal. Will you act, or will you watch yourself decay while whispering excuses to soften the guilt? Because the truth is this: you already know what happens if you don't implement this wisdom. You will slowly slide back into the person you swore you'd never be again. You will drift. You will delay. You will distract yourself into stagnation. Your dreams will fade under the weight of your own inaction. And every year, you will feel the quiet horror of knowing the life you wanted is slipping away because you refuse to step into the fire. But if you choose the other path, if you implement these 4 steps with ruthless consistency, your entire world will change. Not all at once. Not in some dramatic cinematic explosion of success, but quietly, steadily, inevitably. Step by step, day by day, habit by habit. You will build a mind that does not negotiate, a routine that does not fracture, a will that does not break, a life that does not drift. This is where the weak version of you dies. This is where the disciplined, controlled, self-forged you is born. This is where you stop hoping for greatness and start commanding it. And when you finally look back, weeks from now, months from now, years from now, you will barely recognize the person you used to be, because you will have become the architect of your own destiny, the builder of your own identity, the master of your own mind, the guardian of your own potential. So choose now, not tomorrow, not when life settles down, not when motivation returns. Now, declare war, build the routine, train the will guard your progress. Do this relentlessly, and nothing, not fear, not fatigue, not doubt, not time, will be able to stop the person you become. Your life is waiting for you to claim it. Go earn it.